Okay, hello and welcome to today's class training session. As usual, I'm just going to delay a few more seconds just in case anyone is still connecting to audio or is joining us a little bit late. I don't see too many other people coming in anymore. Okay, so before we do begin, CLC Australia would like to acknowledge the original owners of country throughout Australia and its collection of surrounding islands. I'm currently on the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I myself have connection to the lands of the Awabakal people. And I'd like to pay respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all mob with us here today. I'd also like to note that these lands were never ceded and that sovereignty has never been extinguished. Okay, a little bit of housekeeping. This software won't let you unmute yourself, so if you do have a question for us, please feel free to submit that question to us in the questions section of your control panel, and we will do our best to answer those questions for you today. If we don't have answers for you to any of your questions today, we will do our best to get you answers to those questions at a later time. This session is being recorded and will be available on our website later in the week. Okay, so today we will be talking about clients, services, and actions. And this is one of the sessions that we do for general users and new users of class, probably the second half of the group of sessions that we started last week with, intake and triage. So today we'll be briefly talking about clients and services again, a couple of different little bits and pieces on that, and spending most of our time today talking about actions, because there's a lot you can do with actions. In fact, there's so much you can do with it. We couldn't cover all of it today. We probably could, but we don't want to keep you all day. We'll probably be here about 60 minutes. And we'll go through a few of the things that you can do, I think some of the more interesting things you can do with actions. Okay, that probably kind of almost sums up the overview of this session. In terms of clients, we'll be talking about clients versus non-clients, services. For anyone familiar with database fundamentals, you'll recognize that acronym there, CRUD. We'll come back to that later for anyone who's not familiar with that. And then we'll dive into actions. Okay, so in terms of clients, so we've got a couple of different types of clients that we can enter into class, full clients and non-clients. So let's go and have a look at them now and talk about the differences between them. Okay. So here's class. I'm actually going to jump over to our website and show you something that I brought up earlier. As soon as it loads, please don't change page. No, it hasn't. Okay, great. So this is the information we have on our website about clients, and this tells us what a non-client is. Non-clients and triage clients. So any of your clients who've only had an information or a referral service or have services in triage but nothing else, those are non-clients, or they can be entered into the system as non-clients. And it says here, so these clients can still be provided with services even when there's a conflict or when there's no identifiable information provided. One of the classic examples of that is when someone walks into your centre, which may not be happening these days during lockdown. If it does, maybe you hand them a flyer and then record an information service, but at no time during that interaction have you ever taken the client's name or other details, but you don't need to for an information service. So you can register that service up for a non-client. So let's go and have a look at class and have a look at the non-clients. So we've got a couple of sections here in class where we can store our clients, search clients. That's for the full clients. The non-clients live here in this section, this little section here, non-clients. And when we click on that, we get, as I was talking about last week, our search and then our filtering functionality. I'm just going to hit search. Okay, if you do that, that will bring up the entire list of all of your non-clients. So you can see here we've got a client category, and that's either a triage client or a non-client. As you can see down the bottom here, we've got 102 non-clients. Okay, let's just open one of these clients just quickly and have a quick look at what makes them a non-client. So here's our client information, the information we've got about our client. We don't have much in here, probably for pretty obvious reasons, but for anyone who isn't aware, I will just repeat that this is the CLC's Australia instance of class, and we don't actually have clients, so none of the information you're seeing today is confidential client information. This is all dummy data. Okay, if I click across to the client services tab, this is what we're talking about. What kinds of services has this client had? As you can see, there's one service for this client and it's in triage. That's why this client is a non-client. I could go and try and find another one, but if we were to open another client from that list and come across to the services for that client, we may find that there were informations or referrals or some combination of those three service types. That's what the non-clients are. So in terms of full clients, so any of your clients who have had any other type of service, anything other than those three service types, if you record a service type, any other service type, then class will automatically make that client a full client. And some of this is done automatically. You don't need to do anything. As soon as you enter a new client, so if the client's not already in class and you enter them in maybe into triage, then class will put them in the non-clients category. If you then take that service and convert it to a legal advice, that will convert that client from a non-client to a full client. There was one thing I didn't mention about clients last week. Just give me a moment. But I would like to mention it now. I'm just searching for one. There's not one there. And just give me a moment so I can find what I'm talking about. This will do. Flagging. So some of the clients can be flagged. Now, we set this up with the intention that centres can use this how they like. So there's no official way that the flagging system needs to be used in class. It's completely up to the centre to decide if they want to use it, and if they do want to use it, how they want to use it. So if you want to know if your centre is using this system, and if so, what they're using it for, I would recommend asking your class admin. As you can see here, this client is flagged, that says yes, and this is a pretty little pink color. And so I'll show you what happens. I'll just open that client there. Once I open that, we'll see that the background for this client changes color. So if you ever open a client record and you see that, that's what that means. And if you need to flag a client for whatever reason, this is how you do it. There's a checkbox there. You simply tick that checkbox and save. That will change that background to this color. And as soon as you open this client record, that becomes pretty obvious that that client is flagged. It's probably quite nice that that is made so obvious. Okay. I'm just trying to remember what other things I wanted to talk to you about in terms of clients. So that's pretty much it. The difference between non-clients and full clients comes down to what kinds of services they have had. Okay, so let's move on to services. As I was saying before, that thing about database fundamentals, there's a little concept called CRUD, which stands for creating, reading, updating, and deleting. I've added copying as well, and we'll go through all of those today. We kind of went through this last week, but we'll just have a quick look at all of those right now. And we're actually going to start with reading, and then maybe updating. We'll go through them. Okay, so in terms of services, if you want to find services, there's a couple of ways to do it. We've got search services here. We've also got my services. I'm going to click in there and we'll see what we get. So these screens are fairly similar. And I'm not sure if you can see these tabs, they're a little bit small, but that one is services, this one is my services, and they look much the same. I'm clicking between the two of them and very little is changing. The way to find your services is probably to put an S in the service ID column and hit enter. Most of these services start with the letter S. So I'm in my services here, and this is not a great demonstration because there aren't any services assigned to this account that I've got. I will need to rectify that at some stage. But to demonstrate, I'll click back over to services, put an S in there, I'll hit enter, and that will bring up this list of every service that we have in class. We have 686, which I'm sure is probably a much smaller number than the ones you have. So if you did want to find services that are assigned to you, only services are assigned to you, you could do this way. You can come into search services, which is where we're at here, and search for yourself, your own name, or a particular solicitor's name, whoever you're searching for, whoever the services may be assigned to. You can put their name in there, hit enter, and it will bring up the list of their services right here. Maybe you're searching for a service from a particular date. You know that the open date, this is probably not going to work, is it? But let me see. I'm going to go back to last Tuesday. Once I click that, I then need to hit enter. And there we've got a record of one service entered or opened in class and other representation service that was assigned to a couple of different people there. That one assigned to me, so that comes up in those search results. If you did want to do that a little bit easier, you could simply click on my services, come across here, do this search, and that will bring up all of the services assigned only to you. So that's how we find, that's searching services. Once we find the service we're looking for, we simply click on that button. Let me go back. Here's the list. You click on this. It's a link. It's not a button. The link in the service ID column, and that will open our service. So this is the read part of our CRUD functions. So if we wanted to update this particular record in our database, we could, I'm just clicking around really randomly here. We could just update the record and simply click save. That will update our record. Let me just remind myself. So we've done searching, we've done reading, updating. I'll do creating. We went through creating last week, so I'm not going to go through this in much detail, but I'm going to do a quick demo of creating a service. So here's our client record, going back to our client who was flagged. You can simply click across to the client services. If you were with us last week, you will know that I am now doing what's known as the alternate intake method. I'm going to click new there to create a new service, and that is how you would create a new service using the new intake method. That's the alternate intake method. Creating a new service using the new intake method, you simply click the new intake button there and follow the procedures that I detailed last week. We have the video of that on our website if you need to know about that. So I won't go through this again today, but that is creating a service. Let me just close a couple of tabs here. Okay, this is good. I've got a list of client services here. So now I can demonstrate deleting a service. If you want to delete a service, you find the service in question, tick that checkbox in that very first column and click delete. So if you really do need to delete a service, you can do that. You will get this little warning message. Are you sure you want to do this? You have to tick that box that you acknowledge that the record will be permanently deleted, and then click the yes button. That will get rid of that service. I'm just demonstrating today, so I'm going to click no and exit out of that. That is how you would delete a service. And the other one I wanted to go through today, which I did go through last week as well, but I'll just mention it briefly again now as well, is copying. So you can copy a service as well. Let's just pretend this is the service that we want to copy. You just simply tick that checkbox at the end again, and you click the button right there, which is right beside delete. It says copy, and you click that, and you get this warning record. As I was saying last week, not a lot of this warning record is actually true, but there are a few things to keep an eye out for when copying services. So some of the details are copied across, but some of them are not. It says this process cannot be reverted. As we saw, you could delete a service anytime you want. I think there are some roles in class that don't have access to deleting certain things like services. If you do create something accidentally, you copy a service and you realize you copied the wrong service, or for whatever reason you need something deleted and you don't have access to it, you might want to contact your class administrator. Anyway, when you're copying a service, you simply click yes on that warning message, and it will create a new service for you. And thankfully, it is highlighted very nicely in this green. So you can see which the new one is. And as I was saying last week, if you do ever come across a service that is highlighted in green, that means that this service needs attention, that there are some fields that probably aren't filled in on that service. So you should probably open the service, have a look at it, try to find what's wrong with it, and then save it again. So once the service does open, you can find which fields need the attention that class is asking for, and then you can fill them out and save the service. As I was just saying, one of the things to look out for when copying services is what's highlighted here already, the created by field. It's got this little warning message there, which means that it's a required field. We need to know who created this service. So that's not copied across, because the person who created this service that we're copying may not be creating this service. So that field is very much intentionally not copied across. So you will need to choose someone. I'm just going to choose randomly that person. So that's one of the fields to keep an eye out for. As we can see, the assigned to field is blank there. You may want to fill that in. Most of the rest of this stuff is copied across. You just need to fill in the open date field there. As you can see, is not filled in. That's pretty much the same thing I was just saying. That's not copied across because we'd be copying the open date from the previous service, but we probably don't want to do that. So you can simply click today, and that will set the open date to today's date, whatever that date is today. And then you can fill in the rest of the required fields. I think there's one down here. I'm going to miss it, but I will come back to it. Once you're done, you simply click save or save and close, and you have copied that service. Okay, that's about all I really wanted to go through in terms of clients and services today, and that gives us more than half of this session to talk about actions, which I'm happy about. So I can see, okay, there is one question has just come in. Why would we copy a service? The usual example we give is that you may have a client who comes in regularly or has an appointment regularly. Perhaps they come in every week or maybe once a month. Maybe you've got an ongoing issue, an ongoing service with you, or maybe they have an ongoing issue and you provide them with an advice on that on a regular basis. If so, you could go in, copy the service that you entered from the last client appointment, copy that service, just fill in all those required fields, and it's just a bit of a quicker and easier way to copy a service. There may be a whole bunch of reasons why you would copy a service. I probably can't list them all today, but if you want to have a bit more of a chat about copying services and how that could be useful to you, we would be more than happy to do that with you. You can contact us on the help desk, or even just shoot another question through right now, and we'll help you with that. I will be showing you how to get help from the help desk at the end of this session. Okay, Let's get into actions. Actions, there's a lot you can do with actions. I'm not going to be able to cover it all today, but I'll go through a few examples for you. The first one of those being appointments, how you can manage client appointments using actions. So a few notes here on things that you probably want to do when setting up appointments in class. You probably want to assign the action to someone. You probably want to add a due date. Now, this is completely optional. You can add to your calendar if you want to, but you don't have to, and I'll show you how to find a list of your appointments. Okay, let's go and have a look. So let me close a couple of things here while I'm discussing some of this. We're looking at actions, so what I want is a service. Here I have a service record. And once you're in the service record, you see this tab here, actions, so I'll click across there. And we'll see if there are any actions associated with this service. There's the intake notes. Okay, and I think this was set up last week. Looks like it. Okay, anyway. All right, we're doing appointments. Yes, okay, so let's just pretend we've got someone on the phone. We've done a new intake to put them into triage, and as part of that, we did some intake notes, just some brief notes about what it's about. Now we're talking to the client. We're finding out a good time for them to have an appointment with a solicitor or whoever that may be, counsellor, whoever it is. We can do that or we can record the appointment we set up with them using actions. So once we click across to the actions tab, we simply click on new to set up a new action. Once this box opens, this is what it looks like when you start setting up a new action. There's a few things we want to go through in here, and I'll go through most of these fields with you. The first one is the action type. So we're talking about appointments right now, and we can see right at the top there, we've got appointments. So we can click that. We can do a contact method if you want, with most of the country being in, I don't know about most, but a lot of the country being in lockdown right now. We can click video conference. Maybe we're doing this over Zoom or something. You can select a contact method if you like. You can leave that blank if you want. You can put notes in if you like. I'm going to come back to some of these fields later on. Now, I'm going to assign this service to, I'm going to assign this to the solicitor that will be talking with the client. And I'm just going to select that solicitor and click there to select that solicitor. I'll come back to the supervisor. Complete and critical probably aren't really required for appointments. I'm just going to flick back to my slide there. So we need to assign it, and we're going to add a due date, and then we'll talk about adding it to a calendar. We will add a due date because we're setting up an appointment. So I've done this a few times today already, set up appointments for myself. Anyway, never mind that. I'm just going to say that this appointment is happening on Friday at 3, and go across and go up PM, perfect. And I'll click OK. That will record the date of this appointment as 3 PM on Friday. I'm not going to set a reminder date, and I will show you why in just a minute. This is what I was talking about, send a calendar file. If you want to add it to your Outlook calendar, your Google calendar, potentially another online calendar that you have, you can do that. If you simply click that tick box there, that will send you a file that should add this appointment to your calendar. And as you can see, the created by field is required and is not set. So I'm going to set the person that is creating this record. Once I'm done, I'm going to click save and close. And once that saves, oh, that's not good. Once that saves, please save. We'll hopefully see, oh, that's not good. Apologies for this. Let me see if I can get it working. That's annoying. Okay, apologies for this. I'm going to close that. No, All right, once you do save that and close it, you will see that listed here. It'll say appointment. The description will be what I wrote in the notes, which was the appointment with the client, whatever you want to put in there. And then you'll have who it's assigned to, and the due date will be when the appointment is. So that is how you set up an appointment for a client using actions in class. And the one other thing I wanted to talk about was finding a list of the appointments. So you can do that using search critical dates. Now there's my critical dates as well, but as we've seen, I'll click into it quickly. As we've seen, that I don't have any services assigned to me in my current account. So if I did, you would see them in my critical dates. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. I'll just click through to search critical dates. I'm just going to close that. So once you click through to search critical dates, here are all the critical dates. So these are all actions. Every one of these is an action. So to find a list of appointments, you would simply find the type of appointment. You can just put in that. You don't even need to type the full word. And there's a list of the appointments. Now, if you have assigned that appointment to a solicitor, you can come across the assignee, search for the solicitor, hit enter. There's a full list of the solicitor's appointments. And if you wanted to, you could use the due date. And let's just pretend it's Friday morning, 9 a.m. We've just started work and we want to find a list of appointments for a particular solicitor. We can come through, it's Friday morning, we select that date, click OK. Once you click OK, you need to hit enter, and that will bring up a list of the appointments set in class for that particular solicitor for that particular day. So that would be how you would find a list of appointments. Okay, I've got a question here. When the calendar file is sent, will our client data secure during that process? Yes, it does. When you send a calendar file, the only thing it sends is you get a little button and you can click that. It just adds the appointment that you set up to your Outlook calendar, whatever other calendar it is. It doesn't send anything else across. Okay, I hope that answers that question. That's basically how you would use appointments using class. If you wanted to discuss that further, we'd be more than happy to do that. Seeing as though there aren't any other questions or none that I can see yet, I might keep going, and we'll move on to advice notes and supervisor reviews. Okay, so what this is all about is when the solicitor has given the legal advice to the client, then the solicitor either writes up those notes in class themselves, or they send it off to someone else to write up those notes in class for them. What we can then do is set a supervisor review for it. So potentially it's the principal solicitor or someone like that who reads what advice was given to the client for whatever reason. And then we can find all of those advice notes that the supervisor needs to review. So let's go and have a look at that and hope that class works for us. Entering the notes of a legal advice, right. I might actually see if I can find another client. Yeah, this is being a little bit annoying at the moment. Apologies for this. I'm just going to close a couple of things. Okay, so we've got, this is a list of services for a particular client. I'm just going to open that one just at random. Once this opens, we'll dive back into the actions and hope that it works this time. Come on, all right. It doesn't seem to be working great. Apologies for this. There's the actions, okay. Okay, all right, no actions for this particular service. It's probably a good time to just stop and just briefly explain something. It's probably really obvious, but just in case. We kind of refer to it sometimes to things in classes buckets. So you might have a bucket which is your client. That's a bucket where you can store things inside. So inside that bucket you store your services. And your service itself is a bucket, and inside that bucket you can store actions. And the actions relate to the service, things that have happened to the service, the intake notes, the appointment setup, the advice notes, which is what we're doing now. Okay, just let me remind myself, entering legal advice notes, yes, okay. So we're setting up a new action here in class. So we can set up, you can set up some action notes if you want, but we've actually got advice notes, and I think this can be customized. So if there are any class admins who wanted to add new options to this list, you can do that. Let us know you want to do that, and we'll let you know how that works. So we're setting up an advice note. If you want to enter a contact method, you can. I don't know why you would, maybe it was over the phone or something. Anyway, then you add the, you would probably write up your advice notes in there. Okay. And then you would assign this to the solicitor. And as I was saying earlier, we're going to set a supervisor to review this. So I'm going to select a supervisor. That's a good one for no particular reason. Okay, I might come back to some of these. We probably don't want a reminder date because this is something that's already happened, so we don't need to be reminded of it. I'm just setting up who created this. We probably don't want to send a calendar file either. So I'm going to click Save and Close and hope that that error message, yes, does not appear, which it did not. Great. So now we have an action here for the advice notes, the advice that we gave to the client. And that is assigned to this particular solicitor. Let me go back to my slide to remind myself what I'm doing. We've entered the advice notes, we've set a supervisor to review it. Now, if the supervisor wants to find a list, or if someone wants to find a list for the supervisor of all of these services or advices that they need to review, you can do that. You would click on Search Critical Dates. I need to remove that to bring up the full list. I need to remove that as well, and I need to remove that as well. Now I'll hit Enter again. That will bring up the full list. And I'm now going to search for advice, and thankfully I did not misspell that. And there are the advice notes. Now we've got a couple of, let's have a quick look at our client names, Prince Harry and Cersei Lannister, a couple of amusing ones in there, a couple of these, I don't know those other two names. They may be amusing, but I'm not sure. Anyway, ignore that. Now, we can see that the one that we just set up is not in there. Now, I will show you why. Let me go back to this. Is that it? That's not it. Where's the service? Did I close the service? It's this service, and here's the action here. Okay. For these advice notes to appear in that critical dates section, you need to mark it as not complete, but critical. Sorry, that was a little, I ticked the wrong box there. Anyway, ignore that. I'll tick that critical box, click Save and Close, and we'll go back to our list. Okay, so there's my service. Okay, we'll go back to our list of critical dates and refresh it, and we'll see that didn't work. Why didn't that work? Let me try again. That is so annoying. Advice notes, let me check over here. Advice notes, that should be working. Doesn't seem to be working. Okay. Apologies for this. Let me set a reminder date for Friday. Excuse me while I try and get this working. Okay, that is set. Go back to our list of critical dates. I will refresh, and fingers crossed, we have our new, the advice notes we just set up is there now. So if you set it as critical and it doesn't work, maybe you need to set a reminder date. I thought you didn't need to, but perhaps you may need to. So just keep an eye out for that. This is the one I just set up just now. That's the one there, and that's assigned to me now. I'm just going to flick back to the slide real quickly. You may have figured this out already, but we're trying to find all the advices for the supervisor, not the solicitor. And as you can see, the assignee there is the solicitor and not the supervisor. So how can we find that list? What you can do is flick back to, I'll flick back to there. I'll open that action again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this assign to column. This is actually a multi-select column. It's a field and it's multi-select. So I'm going to add the supervisor as well and click there to select records. So now we've got two people assigned to this record, the supervisor and the solicitor. The good thing about that is that you can see who the supervisor is and you can see who the solicitor who gave that advice was. You probably don't want to set the supervisor field as the solicitor. It just feels a little bit confusing to me. So this is probably how I would do it. Obviously, you should do this in whatever way makes sense to you. Okay, assign to, that doesn't look right to me, but I'm going to flick back to my critical dates tab and refresh it. And as you can see now in that assignee column, that supervisor has appeared. So if we wanted to find the list of advice notes that the principal solicitor or whoever needs to review, that is how you do that. Essentially, you come to search critical dates, you're searching for advice notes, and then in the assignee column, you set the supervisor in the assignee field. Then you can just search for that name in that field, and that will give you a list of advices that need to be reviewed. And once the advice notes have been reviewed, I'm just going to flick back here. Oh, sorry, let me just close that. I'm trying to figure out how you remove them from the list once they are, you actually do have to open it. Once the advice has been reviewed, you mark that complete and then save and close. I'm going to flick back. I actually didn't test this before now, so I'm hoping this works. If I refresh that, I'm hoping that will disappear. It hasn't. Okay, let me click there to open the advice from there. And then once you get that, you can open the service. You can view action. From there, you click view action. Sorry, this is probably getting a little bit confusing. It's not there either. Where's the button I want? And that is not going to stop spinning. I'm going to close that. There's a way to close these actions. If you really did want to know, let us know on the help desk and I'll figure out how that's done and I will let you know. I really should have done that before now. Apologies for not having done that. Okay. That is essentially how you do advice notes and supervisor reviews though, except for that one little stumble at the end. Okay. I'm not seeing any other questions though, so I might skip ahead. All interactions, this is pretty easy. Let me close this. Let me close that. Okay, all right. This is our list of actions for this service, and we want to record every interaction we have with the client regarding this service. It's pretty easy. We just click new to set up a new action. And then the action types, as I was saying, this is customizable. You can add new ones in here. There's probably for me, the most obvious option would be communication. And you can say we had a communication with the client. You could say spoke to the client on the phone or whatever the interaction was. And then once you save this, you can do all of your assigning and everything. We've already been through that. I'll just select who created it, and I'll just save and close that and keep my fingers crossed again. Okay, that's going to save a new action with a bit of data missing, but ignore that. So then we'll have a list of communications, and if you wanted, if you have a client that you speak to dozens of times or something, and you wanted a list of all of those, you can come through, search on communication, get a full list of them. Then you can, as I showed before, list them by date of creation. You can filter them by date of creation, anything like that, to get them into the order of the interactions as they happened through time. That's essentially how you would, let me flip back actually, how you would set up a system to record every interaction with a client. But as I was saying, you could use another action type other than communication. It could be action notes or something like that. Whatever makes sense to you. And again, as I was saying, these are customizable. All right. Now, results of court attendances. To record your outcomes, you can do that as well. Let's set up a new action, another new action. And this one is going to be, so we've got one option. You could set up a second option if you want. So this option we've got is court attendance. You could then, if you wanted to, set up an action type of something like court outcome or something like that if you wanted to. I'm going to select court attendance, and the first thing we see is that there's a whole bunch of new fields appear. You can select the type of court it is. I'm just going to click around really randomly. You can do this for multiple attendances if you want, so you can just list one action and say that we've been to court however many times. If you want to record each court attendance individually, you could then select the date. That didn't work. You can click today, that worked, and list the date of the court attendances. You can record how much time you spent there, whether the client attended or not. I'm not sure if that is a standard field or not. Anyway, you can select what kind of hearing it is, what kind of appearance type it is, the contact method. Some of these can be done over the phone, and then you could do something like outcome, and then we'll see later on how that kind of works. And again, you get all of your assigning and all of that. I'll skip through that because we've already been through it. I'll just select that, save and close. And once this closes, we'll see that, that's interesting, where did that go? Apologies for this. I don't know why that's not working. Class is being really annoying today, this afternoon. Apologies for this. That is really annoying. Actions, it's not working. You should see one in here. Oh, it's because I've got this filtered. Sorry, my apologies. There we go. So we've got the advice notes. There's the court attendance, and so you could set up one of these as a reminder that you need to go to court, and then you could set up another one for the outcome, and you can use the description field to record the outcome if you want. I'm sure it would be much more expensive than that. Can you run a report on the information contained in actions, for example, by time spent, appearances type, etc.? Yes, you can. I won't have time to go, or probably won't have time to go through that today. Just for your information, there is a report called DIY Service Actions. That's the report you want. That's where all of the information from actions can be found in reports. Will supervisor be added as a column in the actions tab? Not that I know of, but if you would like that, let us know, and we'll see if we can get that added. I don't think it takes a ton of time to get columns added in here. I understand that that could be pretty handy. Okay, where were we? Talking about results of court attendances and recording the outcomes. I think we've pretty well covered that. Custom fields. Now, this is mostly for class admins, for the general users and new users. I will show you what they are and what they look like, just so you know. If you'd wanted some custom fields on the actions, I would recommend speaking to your class admins about this. I probably wouldn't recommend going and setting them up yourself. Anyway, we'll open one of these advices at random, any action. We'll open one of the actions at random. Any of these actions will do. Now, this is an advice note. If I change this one, so it's a legal action, that didn't work. limitation issue. I'm pretty sure one of these will work. I should have checked this before. Okay, so when I changed that action type to tasks, this field here popped up. I'll show it you again, just so you know. I'll change it to service check. There it goes. It's gone. Change it to task. There it is. It's there. So this is a custom field, and this one is as well. Does this work? And the answer is yes. So a custom field, so the date of creation, assigned to, supervisor, all of these fields are standard fields. Every instance of class has them for every center in the country. You can set up your own fields in Actions and in other places as in class as well, but we're talking about Actions. So I'll show you what you can do with custom fields in Actions. So you can set them up like this. That's probably not a great demonstration of what you can do with custom fields, but you can add them if you like. If you wanted to, you hover over Customize and click on Customize View. And we'll see in here, we've got this tab, Custom Fields. And then we've got a list of fields in here. This isn't very easy on the eye. I'm just going to remove that, Custom Group. Okay, so this is a group of fields. Let me collapse that. So we've got these two things here. So I've got this here. So this is a group of fields. And if we click in there, we can see that there's a field called Test Field. And there's another field in here, which has that for a name. So that's the name of the field, and these are the options within the field. And we can collapse that, and there are the fields that we have within this group of fields. I'm just going to collapse that, and this is another custom field that we have. If I expand that, we can see the options that we have there, and if I click this, we get the option to, this won't be available to everyone. I'm pretty sure this is only available to certain roles in class. Anyway, if you do open one of these fields, you can change the options. So yes, no, and unknown are very common options. You can create whatever you want by clicking new. You can set these for different action types. So these are all, it's selected for all of the different action types that we've got currently. Just say we didn't need this field to be available on our action notes. Our advice notes is what I was talking about earlier. I'm not actually seeing it there. Where is it? It's not there. Interesting. Anyway, let's just pretend that's advice notes. We can just click that and that will remove that. And then I just put it straight back in, remove that, and then click out, and that's gone from there. Once I did that, it has now made this required for all of those different action types. So if there's anything in there in the required for field, that's going to be mandatory, and you won't be able to save your service, or sorry, you won't be able to save your action until you've filled in the field. So if you don't want that, you can remove those from the required for section of this, and then that won't be mandatory for any of those action types. This is kind of more, I'm just going to close out. I'm not going to save any of that. This is kind of more to do with customizing class, which I'm not really talking about today. This is really more for general users, new users of class, and kind of a bit for admins in how to set up systems like appointments and whatnot in class. Okay, so custom fields. So that's kind of most of the information that I have for you today. We're running a little bit early, but I will find you how to, I will show you how to find some documentation and how to get help with any of this stuff or anything else if you need it. So if you click on this button here at the top, it's the help button, the question mark and the little circle. Click on that, that will bring you across to our website, and that will open at the class documentation section of our website. And this is fairly advanced. We've got a lot of information in here, how to use this documentation. There's a whole bunch of information. We've got the search box, and then this that's pointing to this navigation menu on the right side of the screen. And all of the stuff that we've been talking about today will be under user manual. So if you click in there, this is where to find documentation on the things that we've spoken about today. Conflict check and intake was what we went through last week. And today here we've got clients, services, and actions. So that's the stuff that we spoke about today. And here's the documentation we have on it. And there's a bit more there to read about it, including the different action types, the fields in actions, creating one we did go through, deleting one. Let me just show you. If we're in here, it's fairly simple, I would imagine. Let me just remove that. If you want to delete an action, select the action you want to delete and click the delete button. Okay. Printing and downloading actions, if you wanted to do that, you could do that. So if you want to, what you could do is you can hover over export, and then you could save a list of these actions if you wanted to. If you do want to, we recommend exporting to CSV rather than Excel. Export to CSV and it will create a file for you. It's called a comma separated value file. Anyway, never mind that, that's not very important. There it is there. I'm not going to open it. If you do open that, it will just open in Excel. But we recommend CSV because they kind of format a little bit nicer than if you click on export to Excel. So we recommend exporting to CSV. They're also a slightly smaller file weight. So there's all of that, and that's where you can find those things always annoy me. That's where you can find documentation for the things that we spoke about today. If you can't find what you're looking for in the documentation and you want to contact us on the help desk, you absolutely can do that. If you want to find out how to do that, you would click on help and support there in that column, that navigation menu on the right side of the screen. Click on help and support, and that will show you all of the ways that you could contact us on the help desk. You can send us an email. Here's the email address, icthelp@clcs.org.au. If you send us an email to that email address, you will get a reply from the help desk to your question. Alternatively, you can use the new class portal. I'll open it there so I can come back to this. You can use the portal to keep track of your inquiries, so you can have all of them there in one handy place. Just so you know, and just quickly, there also is a phone number. If you call that phone number, you should be able to get through to the class help desk. If you don't, if your call isn't answered, please leave us a voicemail. We do check all of the voicemails and respond to all of the voicemails that we get. Let's click across to the class help desk portal that we have now. And this button up here in the top right is where you can find your requests. I'm not sure about this. I never use this because I don't have any requests. There you go, I do have requests on the help desk. I probably shouldn't be showing you that. Let me see if I can get out. Okay, never mind that. How do I click the self-help center? Okay, so if you come through the self-help center, you can do a search for what you need help with. You could do actions, and it will automatically find you options that you could use to set up a request in the help desk. Something doesn't seem to be working properly. You've got an error message. We did get one recently. Someone was saying they were using actions in a very specific way, and it wasn't working. I didn't even know that you could use class in that particular way that they were using it. So that's how much functionality there is in class. People are telling me all the time that there's stuff that I didn't even know about. Anyway, it could be a query that doesn't fit neatly into any of the other categories, or maybe you need a clarification on something. How does this work again? Or can you let me know how this works in a little more detail or something like that? So I'm raising this request on behalf of whoever. You can enter your center name and state if you want to. I don't think those are required. We would like you to make this as specific as possible. The summary, actions, something to do with maybe setting up actions for appointments or something. If you give us something like that, that'll give us a bit of an idea before we start reading exactly what's going on. And you might do something with like, can you help us set up actions, blah, blah, blah. And you do whatever you're doing. If you've got a screenshot of something that's not working or something, you can attach it there. And then once you click create, that will send a request to the help desk, and you will get a reply to that, which you can check on the portal. I'm going to cancel out of that because I don't want to set up a request. I'm just going to open this again so I can show you how you would do that if you go to this page on the website and then click through to the class portal. You get this page. And from here, you can say you want, let's say it's about class. We support a couple of other systems on the help desk, but this may be to do with class. It might be to do with maybe customization. Maybe you want to customize custom fields for class or something like that, or action types, something like that. And you just want to kind of just run a bias before you do something that you just want to make sure that you're doing it the right way. You can click on there. It could be a request for more training. I need to know how this works in more detail, or maybe just that I need some clarification. Can you help me understand this part of actions a little bit better? You would just simply click on there, and then it takes you to the same screen we saw before, or it's a very similar one, and you can set up a question on the help desk. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions there. I might quickly just check in to see if there are any other questions before we finish, just to make sure I'm not missing anyone. We do have Alex with us today, our facilitator. Anything else I can help with today, Alex?
Hey, Sam. No, you've answered all the questions live today, which was really exciting.
Great.
So thanks for that.
Much, Alex. Sure thing. Okay. So I think that brings us pretty much to the end, and we're a few minutes early, so it's only a few minutes, so I'm happy with that. Anyway, thanks very much for being part of this session. We really do hope the sessions help you. So thank you again, and bye from us today, and have a nice afternoon.